What's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. It has been a little while since we've been able to get together. Of course, we had two back-to-back shows, including a 3.5-hour draft show, so I hope that you guys thoroughly enjoyed it. You can always find that in our chat or on our YouTube channel. There is a code for it, so make sure you plug it in if you didn't get to check that out. And hopefully, next time you'll be able to be with us. But because we haven't been able to do a show and we're doing this on a Thursday afternoon, we're short a few friends, but we've got the main guy here with us, Mr. Maniac. Welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Nate. Thank you for having me.
Well, man, we're going to jump right into this. We have missed so much since our last podcast. Of course, after the last podcast, we just talked about free agency. The draft show was amazing. It was a whole lot of fun. But so much has happened since then. I feel like we've got a lot of stuff to catch up on. But let's talk about draft season 77. It was a very intriguing draft. It seemed to have a couple of teams that front loaded on a lot of picks, and then other teams who backloaded on a lot of those bottom picks. And so overall, there was a lot of movement inside of the draft itself. Of course, there was a couple of home runs. What I felt was the deepest draft that we've seen in a while, top to bottom. So my first question to get this show started today is, who won draft for season 77?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I know when the draft was going on and stuff, we were talking about Mr. Mo and his 400 picks he had in that
Yeah.
draft. And, it was kind of hard, to see him missing much of anything on that draft. But I think, he had a pretty solid draft for some of the players that he drafted and stuff. But I don't think we've seen that top tier guy out of all those 400 possible picks that he could have had a guy come out of and stuff. So overall, I think he had a great one. One team I want to kind of focus on, and I think it may fly on the radar a little bit. The Eagles. Eagles had a really good draft. I think one, his tight end that he got, Christian Bradshaw, a rookie out of Wyoming. 80 overall, ended up being 80 overall, 84 speed, 84 acceleration. That's going to fit well with Zip. He's also only age 21. So, I mean, this is a guy that's going to be around for a while in the OMFL and could possibly be, maybe a guy that goes over into Madden 19. He also picked up a right guard out of Mississippi State, Darius Gross, rookie. 6'2", 318 pounds, strong guard. He's only 22 years of age also as well, so he's young. Got better there on the offensive line. And then he also got, I believe he also picked up another guard, Dallas Moray. But the two guys that I want to kind of focus on that I think may set his draft over the top is wide receiver Maven Foster from Georgia. This was a guy I had my eye on. I wanted to pick him, but obviously I didn't get a chance to pick this guy, because he picked him before I did and stuff. And he turned out to be a beast. He's 82 overall right now, already within the 4 or 5 weeks that we're into the season 77. But 93 speed, 93 acceleration, agility 88. He's got good catching traffic, 85 catching traffic. So, I mean, this guy's a beast, 6'4", 221 pounds. He could play tight end for some teams with that size. And then the other guy that he picked up was Dixon McLennan, running back out of Penn State, 6'2", 222, big guy, 89 speed, 93 acceleration. Hasn't seen a whole lot of carries yet, but I've got a feeling before the season's over with and stuff, Dixon's going to be heading up the load there in the backfield for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not like what the Philadelphia Eagles did. They basically picked up a ton of either like very good starters or like very good backups that can potentially be starters in another season or two. The team that I just kind of want to point out is the San Francisco 49ers, a guy that's always a little quiet in how he builds his teams. But man, he has went out and really found some good players for himself. And I got to point out his quarterback, Russell. Boy, this is going to be a name right here to try to say. Uh, Retro Kazovsky. I don't know how to say it. This guy has played really
Close
well
enough.
for him. 90 throwing power. He does have 76 speed, 79 acceleration. So he can. There's a little mobility there that if you just play all deep zone and leave a wide open thing, he's going to take it. 79 overall, so he's already starting to build him. He was the 20th pick in the first round, 85 short accuracy, 83 medium accuracy, 78 deep, 78 awareness. This guy's played really well for him. He's leading all rookie quarterbacks in passing right now, and just been a guy that I feel like has elevated the San Francisco 49ers as one of those top teams that came out of the draft. And also, just kind of as a team to note, would be the Houston Texans. They also had a gob of
Yes.
picks. They weren't all home runs, but a lot of his picks were very good picks because he had moved so many guys. And I'd love to see just where this plays out. And we're going to talk about rookies in a little bit, but when you get towards week 16, week 14, 15, 16, 17, you start rolling into the playoffs, you get a really good idea of how guys' draft has played out. And I think the Houston Texans could be one of those teams that we look back on and feel like they've done exceptionally well. I want to talk about some predictions. We didn't get to do any predictions. This kind of stinks the fact that we're not going to have everybody here with us. But I want to give some predictions and kind of put our names out there about what we think is going to happen. So let's go ahead and start with the AFC. Give me your divisional winners out of each division here in the or each conference here in the AFC.
All right. I'm in game here trying to pull up all the standings and stuff here.
So right now, while you're
Well,
kind of pulling that up, I'll give you just a second. Right now, we are 4 weeks deep. We'll be into week 5 later tonight. The Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, and Jets are all tied at 3-1 in the East. Miami Dolphins at 1-2. The AFC West has the Oakland Raiders at 2-2. The Kansas City Chiefs and Chargers at 1-3. The Denver Broncos at 0-4. The AFC North has the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens all at 3-1. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at 0-4. The AFC South has the Indianapolis Colts at 3-1, the Titans and Jaguars at 2-2, and the Houston Texans at 0-3. So some shocking teams there. But how do you think this is going to play out as we go through this?
yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that surprise, and I do have some surprising picks here later on. I'm just going to start with the AFC North. We got Cincy and the Bengals and stuff. You know, he's the defending AFC champion, losing the Super Bowl to Mo and those Seahawks. The newcomer Adam A. He's been clicking. I think he's 3-0 since coming in with the Ravens. And chaotic over with the Browns. He played Adam A. really close in the last game. I think lost that game by like 6 points or something like that. So he's got the Browns clicking. His defense right now is not giving up hardly anything. 58 points, I think, so far on the season. So out of this division, I'm going to go with a shocker, and I'm going to pick Chaotic to win that division.
No.
Oh yeah. I'm coming out. I'm coming out of the closet and saying Chaotic is going to shock the AFC North and win that division.
That's going to be our new favorite line of this whole podcast. That you're coming out of the
coming
closet.
out of the closet.
Yep. The guys are going to rag on that.
All right. AFC South. I think with the Titans, and the Jaguars, they've been up there, the Texans and stuff. But Big Hurt has got the Colts kind of molded and shaped into the team that he kind of likes to play with, I think. He's been doing really well, and he's got that team at 3-1. So coming out of the AFC South, we're going to go with those Colts and Big Hurt. Big Hurt's going to come out on top this year in that division, and I think he's going to push into the playoffs, possibly pushing for representing the Super Bowl for the AFC. We're going to move over to AFC East, and we got the stalemate here with all three teams again, just like the North, 3-1: Bills, Patriots, Jets. Patriots have kind of shocked me with Santa. He didn't play real well last year and stuff, but he's actually played really well so far this year. He's got his offense is lacking a little bit, but he's got a pretty solid defense, so I think it's what's kind of keeping him into games. The Jets with the other Mo, he is also clicking pretty well. He's got his team going. He's won 3 straight. He lost the season opener, but he's won 3 straight. Coming out of this, to me, this one's going to be hard to pick, and yeah, I know I shocked the world with the chaotic pick and stuff, but I think Mo and the Jets is going to take this one this season out of the AFC East.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact I've played him in OMFL 2. He's a pretty solid player. He plays really tough, plays good defense, and he's in the top 10 right now in defensive points given up in the league. So we're going to call it Jets out of the AFC East. And our poor guy over there in Miami, he's kind of let me down so far. He's 1-2. You know, I really coming in this season, I wanted to give Kev the nod and stuff, but he's kind of struggling so far. So we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the season. AFC West, this one's kind of, they've kind of reversed roles, I think, with like the AFC. Was it AFC South from last year? Like nobody, maybe it was the East. Yeah,
No, it was the South.
East was,
nobody wanted to win
South. Nobody wanted to win it, and you know, here we got the Raiders 2-2, leading the division so far, and the Chargers, Chiefs 1-3, and Broncos bringing up the rear in 0-4. All these teams really, on paper, they're really struggling on defense. They're giving up a lot of points. Each one have given up over 100 points a game, except for the Raiders. I think he's right at 100. But coming out of this one, I want to see Dawson. I want to say Dawson's going to come out on this one. It just depends on what gets going with his offense and how his defense responds. I think he's been having a lot of 3-and-outs, and it kind of puts his defense in a bind. If he can kind of get that stuff under control, I think Dawson can win this. But it's going to be neck and neck between Dawson and the Raiders there with Jay Bowles and stuff. So, but I'm gonna call it. Dawson pulls this out in the end. He may be coming in as a 9-7, 8-8 team winning out, but I'm gonna call Dawson and the Chargers winning this division.
Those are some good picks.
Then we move over to the NFC North.
Well, let me give my picks. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me give my AFC picks, and then we'll go over to the
you get them in.
AFC. Those are some good picks. I think there's definitely some shockers in there, right? That no one is expecting to see, and it'll just be interesting to see how this all plays out. I'll keep my comments pretty short here, but let's go with the AFC East. They're definitely like Mo and the Jets is really intriguing. If he can keep that up, that's going to make that really, really good. The New England Patriots are playing lights out right now. The Buffalo Bills are a head scratcher. Like, can they keep this up? They seem to have rebuilt their team. Honestly, that team is playing the best out of that division. Miami Dolphins really is the biggest head scratcher out of all of that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the New England Patriots. I think that he just has history on his side. He's figured this team out. But, man, it's going to be a tight race, and I'd love to see Miami pick it up and make that even a better all-around division. Or conference, I should say. The AFC West, I think this is all going to be about the Oakland Raiders, but it's going to come down to the Oakland Raiders and Chargers. The Chiefs have a chance to still get in this. I'm just wondering what has happened to the Denver Broncos. I think that's going to make for an interesting discussion as this season progresses. Moving over to the AFC North, it's the Bengals and all the Bengals. I know that you're picking the Browns. I love my buddy Chaotic. The Ravens are the other team that can make this really questionable. But how can you not go for the guy who's been in the OMFL Bowl for the past 3 seasons, and he's not slowing down? The guy's averaging 37 points on offense and only giving up 18 points on defense. It is outstanding. I think that the Cleveland Browns offense is going to continue to hold him back. He is yet to find a superstar running back and a superstar quarterback. even with these high draft picks. And I think having Matt Ryan and Corral be your two starters at those positions will sooner or later come back to haunt you. Don't count out Jennings, who is taking over the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll get that team turned around also. And then last, the AFC South, which seems to be much more improved this season. The head scratcher for me is Houston Texans. What happened to that team? All these high picks, all of that investment, and yet only averaging 19 points on offense, giving up 25 points on defense. The Jacksonville Jaguars have kind of figured that defense out. Those numbers are dropping each and every week. It's just, does he have enough offensive firepower? I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans to win this division. I've watched him and the Colts play back and forth. They played some really, really tight games just the other day. I think this division is going to come down to those two teams. I like the Tennessee Titans and what they've built, as long as they can stop turning the ball over. Now we can jump over to the NFC. I know you're itching and ready to go, but let's talk about our NFC.
All right. Well, we're going to start off in the north, and we've got two guys right now that have kind of elevated their game, and one of the big surprises has been Outlaw. Really, it's not a big surprise because he did turn it on at the end of season 76 and started putting things together and stuff. And he's kind of came over into season 77 the same way. He's been running some good offense there, and he's put up some good points. He struggles in defense a little bit still, but he's got the Bears 3-1, and then of course our buddy Bill there in the Vikings 3-1. He's clicking, and his defense right now has been the difference, I think, for his team so far this season. And he's got a really, really good young safety that has kind of taken over, I think, the last couple of games. Out this one, I can't go against Bill just quite yet. I can't give it to Outlaw, so Bill's going to maintain the crown here in the NFC North. Outlaw, though, is going to push him to the limit. And at this point in time, if there's anyone that can push for this division, I think it's going to be Outlaw.
The Packers. Me to the limit.
the Packers. He spent a lot of money on offense. I know he picked up Julio Jones. Yeah, that's an understatement. And I think maybe his eyes got a little bit too big for his pocket. But anyway, he's struggling right now. He's only I'm not sure what he's averaging per game, but he's only got 56 points so far in 3 games, and that's not very good. He has been so-so on defense, 86. So unless he can get this ship righted and get Aaron Rodgers on track with Julio Jones and the firepower that he has on offense, the Packers are going to finish probably third in this division. I have seen some promise from the Lions, but I just don't think he's going to be able to push Bill out of that spot. All right, moving on to the South, we've got the 3-0 Panthers and Colin. We've also got the Buccaneers at 2-2, and Falcons with Dwayne 3-1, and Nate.
Just keep on moving.
They're at 1-3. But the Panthers, I do think this is his division to win this season. Obviously, you got to get past the champ, and Dwayne's going to be there. It's going to be a race between those two guys. In the end, I think the Buccaneers is going to be also kind of a spoiler. Probably going to play spoiler with one of those two teams. He's going to probably come out on top with a game or two that's going to cost them, one of these guys, the championship for the South and stuff. But right now my hand tips to calling those Panthers 3-0, and he's only given up 52 points so far on defense. So that is a big stat in my book. All right, I'll do the NFC East last since that's my home. NFC West, we got a tight race here with Meathead, Seahawks both tied at 3-1. Cardinals and Smash. He's come a long ways, I think, from last year. He's starting to get the team turned around a little bit, but I think he still needs another off season to kind of get things going. where he needs to be with that team and stuff. And then we've got the newcomer there. Um, his name has actually kind of left my mind here. I think it's Crazy something, but anyway, he comes in kind of a tough division, and he started out 0-3, and it's going to be an uphill battle for him.
Crazy B-Man.
Crazy B-Man. There you go. All right. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to make a push for any kind of championship here in the West, but I'm going to give the nod to Mo. Obviously, he's the champ. He's the OMFL champ. Meathead, though, is going to, I think, really probably challenge him more this season than he did last season. And with that young quarterback that he's got, if he can continue to grow him and mature him in this the OMFL, he is going to be someone to contend with season after season. I think they're in the West, and just continue to build around him and stuff. So Mo, I think you're put on notice. Don't take the 49ers lightly, and I don't think he does. So, but I'm giving the nod to Mo, and now we're gonna go to my place of in the NFC East. Right now I'm at 3-1. I don't like to toot my own horn and stuff. But now with the Redskins kind of in limbo, we don't know who's going to be the new owner of the Redskins now since Jennings moved to the Steelers. Peppers kind of had a struggle so far here in the first 4 games and stuff. I'm going to give the nod myself. I really think I think I can pull it out again. I know I've won it last year and stuff. It was a very tight race all the way up to the last game to actually get the championship for the NFC East. But Eagles and Zip, I've played him once already, and it was a really close game. I did get a couple of lucky bounces in that game and stuff. He's going to be pushing. He's got a better defense right now as far as giving up points than I do, and he's got those good rookies that he's got, and I think by the end of the season he's going to have those guys brought up a little bit better, and I think he's really going to push for the division crown here for the NFC East.
Well, to look at your NFC from Mr. Maniac, who's actually, finally tooting his own horn a little bit. I'm going to reverse engineer this because I'm so terrible. I'm going to go NFC South and work my way up on the Daddy Leagues page. I think this is still going to be all about the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South. It's good to see Carolina back. Tampa Bay is going to be fighting, but man, he ran into that buzzsaw that is the Atlanta Falcons. Look, if you look at their points, the Panthers are averaging 33, giving up 17. The Falcons are averaging 27, giving up 17. So both of those defenses are playing really well. I just don't see Carolina being able to keep up that 33-point average, especially whenever they face off against the Atlanta Falcons. Give me the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South. Moving up to the NFC North, I think this is all about the Minnesota Vikings and Bill. He knows how to win with this team. He's really built a solid team there that knows how to win no matter what he approaches. I think that something's going to happen here with Outlaw. He's going to hit some speed bumps that everybody hits throughout the year. Is he going to be able to recover from that? I think that this is the year that Outlaws Bears begins to take a leap forward, but not enough to actually win this division whenever it counts, given the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC North. The NFC West, I think, is still going to be about the Seattle Seahawks, but man, it is good to see the San Francisco 49ers up there challenging the Seattle Seahawks for this division. I think this is a really tough division. As Crazy B-Man is finding out with those Rams, we're very much catered and built towards one type of owner who's no longer with us. He's averaging 14 points on offense, giving up 34. The only team worse than that is me. And then you got the Arizona Cardinals. He's at 1-2. He's still averaging pretty good numbers, though. 21 on offense, 19 on defense. If he can just get that offense up a little bit more, defense down a little bit more, he'll be doing just fine. But they're going to challenge each other, the 49ers and the Seahawks. I just got to go with the guy who won the Super Bowl by a very large margin and really swept through the NFC last year, and give me the Seattle Seahawks in that one. Then we're going to move over to the NFC East. You got the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Redskins. Redskins are going to have a brand new owner. That's going to happen in the next couple of hours. A guy's going to move. He's actually not moving up from OMFL 2. He's going to stay in the OMFL 2. So he's going to come take over the Washington Redskins, as Jennings had the opportunity to go over and take over his favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Redskins have a lot of potential there. A superstar wide receiver, a very good quarterback, and that combo can be very deadly. Plus another solid draft this past year. He has a hole he's got to dig out of. The New York Giants are always his worst enemy. I think if he can get on some kind of winning streak here, he just thinks that he seems to think more clear and play more loose, which leads to more and more wins. That guy knows how to win. It's good to see Zip playing much better this season. He had a down season last year. I think these are all very, very good teams, but I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys, averaging 36 points for, 24 points against. This team is loaded from top to bottom. They've got the rushing game. Yes, they lost some offensive linemen this past offseason, but they're still overall very, very, very good. Very good running back, very good quarterback, just overall very good talent from top to bottom. And Maniac knows how to win with this team. So I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, that's a boring pick, and that is probably the favorites coming out of those divisions, but I'm going to stick with what I think is going to work. So that's our predictions for the AFC and the NFC and how we think it's going to work out. What I'd like for you to think about, my question that I'm going to give you, is if you had to pick one team in the whole OMFL that can shock everybody this season, that can just come out of nowhere and shock people, who's your one team?
Well, I mean, I think I've already shocked everybody enough with the chaotic pick,
Yeah.
but but
Let me say this before you go. He's ranked 11th in the power rankings last week. He was ranked 32. So, like, even the computer is trying to figure out where to rank this guy.
yeah, he's just a normal thing, going on with the OMFL right now. He is playing very solid right now, and I think it would be easy for me to go ahead and just say chaotic and stuff, but I want to kind of mess things up here a little bit and just this is something fun and to play around with. But I think the person that is going to shock the OMFL and that could, if he gets on a run, is Mr. Nate.
Yeah.
I know you're laughing, but I
I'm
have
playing
watched your
terrible
games.
right now, Maniac.
I've watched your games. I have watched your games, and you play very good. It's just at the most inopportune time you have that just bad play. You're like you have this jinx thing on you, and you get that interception thrown, and it just kills your mojo and stuff. If you can right the ship, I think you get into the playoffs. And I know you're like, what on earth, And I'm not just saying it's a suck up, but you have potential. Your team is really good. You've built well in the draft. It's just those inopportune mistakes here and there and stuff that has cost you that I saw from watching your games and stuff. So.
Well, I will sure try to prove you right, but man, I do feel snake bitten. 4 starters are already out with long-term injuries this season. And it's funny because we've actually tuned the injuries down to where we wouldn't have as many. They don't seem to be as long as last season where they were like 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks. These are more like 4 to 6 week ranges, but still, I do feel snake bitten. But we'll see as I'm going to try to play the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to try to help you out tonight and make you look good and give you a little bit more space there in your division. If I had to pick one team, my eyeball wants to go to the New York Jets. I know Mo's got a lot of things going on in his life right now. He's trying to balance things, but man, he's playing really, really well. I don't really know a lot about the Jets, right? Mo's not somebody we get to talk to very often, not somebody I know, so I don't know his mindset and how he's trying to build this team. I as a sleeper pick B, I would go with the New York Jets, but I'm going to make mine the San Francisco 49ers. Now, last Madden, there was a really good season where every team in that division played well. Myself with the Arizona Cardinals, Mo with the Seahawks, uh, Meathead with his San Francisco 49ers, and then Dawson with his Rams. all of those teams are playing exceptionally good football, kind of like this first season in Madden 18, where every team in the NFC South had a winning record. That's kind of how that division was. And man, the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle Seahawks played to a barn burner of a divisional title. And the San Francisco 49ers won like 13 games that year. Now, he's been rebuilding this Madden. He's been trying to get his team where he needs them. I think he's finally found the quarterback. He's always had really good defense. Now, I think the defense has actually been something he's had to build up a little bit more this year. But I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers to shock the OMFL this year and to be one of those teams that you continue to wait to fall off, but he actually never actually falls off and doesn't makes a run into the playoffs and even can make a run. It's going to be hard to win that divisional title. Look, you can see the score just popped up right now. He played the Seattle Seahawks this week and lost 41-13, but I still think he's going to get a wild card. He's going to get into the playoffs, and he's going to knock a really good team out. So now we've given you kind of our surprises and our picks for all of the different divisions here in the OMFL. Now let's talk about Rookie of the Year. Give me your Rookie of the Year prediction for season 77.
Oh, and this is going to be kind of hard. I mean, because there is a lot of good rookies right now that's come in and that's played well. Obviously, with the 49ers and that quarterback, Russell Witkowski.
Yeah, good luck.
And then you got Malik Candidate with the Lions, wide receiver. I think he's got 400 yards receiving already. Then you have free safety Stanley Heddleston, the Saints. He already has like 30 tackles. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but 30 tackles, and it's just lit up the secondary and the tackle department and stuff. And then, but my offensive Rookie of the Year would have to go to the Maven Foster, the wide receiver of the Eagles. I think he's going to be one of those like the wide receiver for the Bengals and the Seahawks last year, Kelsey, and I'm not sure what the Bengals wide receiver's name was, but I think he's going to be one of those type of guys that's going to kind of exert himself a little bit as the season goes along. And then on the defensive side, I think I'm going to go with your safety. I think you're going to, again, improve as the season goes on. He's already a tackle machine, 30 tackles on the season. And so that's going to be my two picks for Rookie of the Year offense. And if I had to pick one single one, I'm going to go with Foster with the wide receiver for the Eagles.
It's hard to not pick a wide receiver just because of how things have played out the last couple of seasons. Look, I played the Bears this past week. Still super salty about the whole situation, but his rookie left end Foster had 4 sacks that game. No, I lie. He had all 5 of his sacks. So every stat that he's recorded was in that one game versus me. The guy's already got 5 sacks. It's a pretty good lead to have this early in the division. You talked about the wide receiver from the Detroit Lions. I like this quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he's got 8 touchdowns. He does have 7 interceptions, but only 13 sacks, 1,131 yards, 58% for a quarterback that doesn't have a massive cannon of an arm. I think he has potential to win this thing, but I have to go with the guy that I seen firsthand and that firsthand in our game begin to not only take over, but I think really set himself up to make a run this season, and that's Candidate. He was the 11th pick in the 7th round. This guy's he's short. He's a 5'9", 185 guy, 92 speed, 92 acceleration, 83 route running, 80 catch, 77 catch in traffic, 77 spectacular catch, 86 jump, 79 release, 74 awareness, 91 elusiveness, 94 agility. I mean, this guy can do, and he's got 56 run block. Like, this dude could start. Even though he's small, he could start. And 00 has him on a 4-year, $2.4 million contract because he was the 7th pick. It's just crazy. 25 receptions, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, in my game against him, he had 7 receptions for 142 yards and a touchdown. He just took over the second half of that game. He's taken a step back for the last couple of games, but even against Minnesota, which I think happened last night, 7 receptions, 99 yards, no touchdowns, but just a kid that can make plays. And I think because of how it's played out the last couple of seasons, that Malik Candidate is going to be your rookie of the year for season 77. So some really good players they were introduced, and I thought was one of the fastest wide receiver groups that we've ever seen in a draft from
Yes,
top to bottom. I mean, that guy was a 7th round pick. It's not too bad.
not bad at all.
Let's look at some player stats. What I want to ask you now is, who is your MVP for season 77? Who's your MVP candidate for season 77? There are a lot of good players out there. We've had some big names like Cam Newton go from to different teams. We've got some rookies that are starting to play good like Eds. We've got Arno, who's back in his starting spot. All the names that you expect to see there with the running department are there. All the big names. Kelsey is the guy you were trying to think of for the Seattle Seahawks. Man, he's there.
There we go.
Serwango for the San Francisco 49ers. That dude is an absolute stud. There are some really good players having some spectacular seasons already. Who's your MVP for season 77?
Oh, yeah. This is whenever I looked at this question on the agenda, so I'm like, dang, you could put 20 guys' names on here and be okay. I'm gonna give, and I guess maybe this is like the easy way out. I don't know. I'm gonna give 3 names, and it's gonna be somebody from each quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and then I'm gonna throw in a defensive player. Because we know those guys don't get any love at all. Defensive guys don't get any love when it comes to the MVP. I don't think I've ever seen an MVP come to the defensive side, but I'm going to throw a name out there. On the quarterback side, and this just all depends upon what happens and stuff with some of the guys that's coming in taking over these teams. But I'm going to say that Arno from the Bengals, I think he's going to be the top candidate coming out.
A rookie
He's
import from Madden 17.
Yes. And he's got all the intangibles that you want from a quarterback. And right now he's taking care of the ball really well. I think last year he struggled with interceptions with Arno, but right now he's 10 TDs, 4 interceptions. He's really taking care of the ball. He's not forcing the passes in. I think he's at 79% completion rate right now and averaging about 300 yards a game. So that's really good. And so that would be my quarterback pick to come out that would be an MVP candidate. On the rushing side of the ball, I know this is going to be homerage and stuff, but Ezekiel Elliott is the in-game returning MVP from last season. He's got 81 carries right now, 455 yards rushing, averaging 5.6 yards carry, 7 touchdowns, and right now leading with an average of 113 yards per game. He's going to be my pick from the rushing side of the ball for the MVP candidate. And receiving, we're going to go with, and I want to see Tank, and he's also an import as well. Tank was imported from Madden 17 as well and stuff, and he's got potential. It's your guy. It's your guy. So this is all dependent on you, Nate. So Forbes, I've watched him. I watched him in your last game and stuff. He is just rock solid on route running. He just turns on a dime, and I think right now you're averaging about 149 yards a game with him. He's only got 1 touchdown. We know touchdowns go a long way towards MVP stats and stuff, but 36 receptions, 597 yards, almost 600 yards receiving, and you're tearing it up. Just hadn't gotten in the end zone with him and stuff, but I think it's going to change with my prediction for you and your team and stuff. So Tank is going to be the MVP candidate coming out from the reception side of the ball. And on defense, we've got a guy that's actually in his first year's experience and stuff, Jordan Welker, middle linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts right now. I think he could be a candidate. because he's actually got 7 interceptions right now. Doesn't have any sacks. Doesn't have a whole lot of stats for as a tackle. I think he's got like 20 tackles so far. But the guy's around the ball, and if he gets into games and stuff, he's already got 7 interceptions, and we're only like week 4, week going into week 5. So this guy is a ball hawk. Almost could play safety. So I'm going to say by the end of the year that this guy's going to be pushing for a defensive MVP
Yeah.
category. That's my picks.
Well, there you go. I've got 5 minutes to kind of put a bow on the show, and then I've got to get off to one last conference call for work before I head off to New York in the morning. I think all of your picks are really, really good. I think that there are some guys that have the potential that are going to put up great stats that we won't get MVP votes because of their teams. I think Eds is going to put up great stats for the Lions. I think Sparks is going to be spectacular, but he's losing his owner, right? I think, look, Kelsey for Seattle, Will is already, he's almost got 700 yards, basically 700 yards, and we're only 5 games deep. I mean, that guy's going to put up stupid numbers. Yeah, Tank Forbes is playing well, but we got to see what I'm going to do with my team. Serwenga could also continue to put up massive stats. That guy's a stud. I mean, you look at this Welker kid that you're talking about with the Indianapolis Colts, 7 interceptions, only 5 games deep. And this is a guy like players get 7 for the year, they would be spectacular. This guy's already got 7 in the first 5 games. But I'm going to go ahead and again pick something that's going to seem pretty easy, but it's truly who I think is going to win the MVP. I got to go Ezekiel Elliott. I just think that Elliott is unstoppable with that offense, unstoppable with that offensive line. The Cowboys are going to continue to be a 12, 13, 14 win team this season. They're going to go deep into the playoffs. I think that teams and voters are going to start to get turned off about wide receivers always winning this award year in and year out with these stupid numbers that they're throwing up every year. And I think this Elliott, if he continues to stay healthy and continues these numbers, I think that, again, health is the big question mark, especially with running backs. But if he can stay healthy, this is the guy that I think can win it all for the MVP for the Dallas Cowboys because they're going to be a very good team, and guys are going to look at those numbers. He's going to break 16, 1,700 yards this season if he stays healthy, and that's just going to be too big of numbers to not vote him as MVP. So that's my pick for MVP for season 77, even with all these other really good players out there. So we've got a couple of minutes here. We've talked about a lot of predictions, throwing a lot of stuff out there. Why don't you put a bow, closing thoughts? What do you think about season 77? We're 4 games deep. How do you see this playing out? Put some closing thoughts on the show.
I think the season so far has started out pretty well. We've had some newcomers coming in. We've had a little bit of turnover and stuff with the new season and stuff. But I think guys are really starting to figure things out, especially with the offensive side of the ball. I really think there was a good draft, like you said. I think this last draft was probably one of the best that come out of the OMFL, and we're going to see these guys start to grow in these teams and stuff, and we're going to see the talent level rise on each team from this type of draft. And but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the as the season goes on, the playoff race and stuff. And I mean, I've already put a bow on this. I came out of the closet and called Chaotic winning the AFC
We
in his
should have just
division.
ended the
So
show right there because that's people that stop listening right there.
right, mic drop, just
Yeah.
boom, that's so Anyway, that's my take so far. Really
Yeah,
enjoying it.
I'm going to throw this out there since we've got everybody's attention who's going to watch the show. I will announce this as soon as we get closer to the advance tonight. But if you watch the show or if you're actually watching the live stream right now, you can go ahead and start spreading the word. We will be banning the shotgun split close or split bunch formation. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think it's all the shotgun split formations,
Yeah.
close, spread, all those other that split formation.
So we're going to ban the shotgun split formation. We'll give you a week to get it out of your playbooks if you have a custom playbook. This is because there tends to be a couple plays out of these formations that are just way overpowered for whatever reason. And one that we're starting to see pop up in a lot of games and pop up a lot of times during the game Uh, even to the point where board members are having to like message people during games saying don't run that play again. Is the halfback wheel formation out of or play out of that formation? So we've just made a decision that for the fair play of the league, to keep it simple, to not just remove one play or whatever, we're just going to remove that formation. There's a zillion other shotgun formations. Just go find another formation. The other warning that I'll kind of toss out there is, man, cover two zone. I'm going to keep my comments to a minimum, but I hate it, and it's being overused again. This is not a play that you should be calling 10, 15, 20 times a game. Like, this is a play that you call in specific situations where you want to cover the flats and, like, just use it strategically. It is an overpowered play. Defensive line use, overpowered. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys have been really trying to use her the linebacker, and I appreciate that. Keep working on that. I just think that the more we get away from using defensive ends to get easy insta shed blocks, the better we will be as a league. Your game play will increase and get better, and we will just have fair, more complete games. So check out the latest game of the week video, an instant classic with the Buccaneers and I. The instant game thread is still up. You get incentive points for that. I said that on the game of the week video, but make sure that you participate in our incentive program. I think Dawson's going to announce some new incentives soon. So lots of fun stuff going on. A handful of new owners, man. Make them feel welcome. Show them how we do things. And I can't wait to see how season 77 wraps up. So for Maniac and all the other guys who couldn't be here tonight, all the OMFL board, thanks for tuning in and watching our show. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Later.